Hello people, Mark here, and this video is going to be about this Cabking machine. You know, I've had this machine for about, I don't know, 5 years, I guess. It's been a good machine. It's not exactly stock anymore. So what I need to do is right now it's in my shed, and the weather is definitely turning cold. This morning it was below freezing. And so I need to get this machine out of the shed, my unheated tool shed, and put it in the basement for the winter. And so I thought it would be a good idea to take the time to kind of show you the machine as I break it down, clean it, and then reassemble it downstairs. And I can, show you how it comes apart, how it goes back together. I can talk about the individual things as they come up. I haven't made a lot of modifications, but I've made a few. And so I think that'll be the video. First, we have this hanging jug. So this is my homemade water supply that I use out here in the shed. It works pretty good. I think I'm actually gonna continue to use this instead of the pump. Usually downstairs I was using the pump, but this works well enough. And I can put hot water in it, which is nice. I'm going with the GoPro on the chest mount. Hopefully this works out pretty good. Doesn't look too weird. Hard for me to know if it looks good because I don't do it too much. But just cleaning up these little cabs and stuff. Let's just set all this outside. I'll just set it right here for now, I guess. All right, we got the safety gears. Definitely need I need magnifying glasses in order to see the scratches and see the progress. So let's look right here. So I've got a little twig that I use because I've lost a little plastic piece under there, a little rubber piece, but I use this little twig to hold that up. It works all right, rolls back and forth, because I have removed the water knobs and just water system that used to be up here. Currently I have this light not mounted to the board, not mounted to this board, but mounted to the wall back there, and I assume you'll be able to see that on camera. So modifications. Well, so first I have this little blue, it's actually a piece of sealer. It's a gasket that goes on a wall. When you build an exterior wall, you put this underneath the framing as a kind of a sealer. I forget exactly what it's named, but I've got a bunch of it lying around, so I use it fairly often. Good stuff. So I use that here and there to keep the splashing to a minimum. Especially over here, it gets muddy quickly, and if you don't have additional protection in there, it gets real dirty and real muddy and real wet on the outside over here. So I just use a couple little pieces of thin wire and these to kind of hold them in place. And all of this will be washed before it goes back downstairs. All right, so if we just get this light out of the way, well, I guess we can take it apart. Let's see, we got a cordless drill right here. And I guess we can unplug the unit, unplug it, unplug it, unplug it. There we go. Yeah, let's tilt you up. Maybe that'll help you see what I'm doing back there. That's fast. I don't need fast. Now, I can tell that my body is often angled to the side, and you know, if I had my headlamp on, not the headlamp, but the head mount GoPro, you would be pointed in the right place more often. But I don't know. Now, note my splice in my wire. There was an accident at one point. We won't talk about that. All right, so let's put aside those and that we don't need. Might use our little twig downstairs, so save that. All right, this will be our wash bucket. So there's 4 of these. I don't know where my other ones are. I may have lost them, but they're probably just stashed somewhere. But I really only use these inside ones. I don't think it's necessary on this side, and on this side I don't really use this side. It's meant for a flat lap on this side, but I don't really use it. All right, what else? It's nice if you untighten these 2 knobs so that can come loose. And then there's a panel here. So you take that panel, and it helps to kind of push the tray back a little bit. And then that panel's, you have to lift it up and rotate it, and then it comes out pretty easy. Takes a little bit of practice. Wasn't easy to do at first, but it can become easy with time. And I do have the other ones still somewhere. There's one. I don't know where the other one is. It's over there, but typically I leave this side off at all times. Oh, I think the other one is, well, it's around here somewhere. So there's that one. Just pops off. Loosen. All right. This is the rough grinder side, and there's a lot of mud in there. And so it can become difficult to separate this top part from the bottom part with all that mud in there. Let me angle you a little bit different. There you go. But if you just kind of pick it up and wiggle it, it usually will come out. Now you wouldn't have as much issue if you cleaned it out more often, but I only clean this. Okay, so it's now up out of the slots, and then in order to get it off, you rotate it. Really helps. Okay, so there's the rough grinder hood. It's always the dirtiest and the muddiest. So we'll just set that over here. It's nice to have a bucket of water. so cold. Hi, Pooch. What you doing? Hi. Hi, Pooch. All right. So this is the kind of the polishing side, the 280, 600, 1200, 3000. So this side typically doesn't have a lot of mud in it, and it comes apart a lot easier. A lot easier. All right, so now we have these trays. Down here underneath all my stuff, I got too much stuff, trust me. Down here under all this stuff is this drain bucket, and there's two hoses. Each one of these trays has a hose connected to it on the back. I think they used to come with like a little clamp to hold them on, but I've lost the clamps and I just slide it on the little nipple on the back side and it stays just fine. Doesn't really leak or anything. So, but these need to be rinsed out as well. So again, on the back side, there's the hose and nipple. I'm trying to angle you, but we just grab that. I just pull it up. All right, now these trays can be removed, and they need to be washed out. So we just set that over here. We just set that over here. All right, that's the nipple on the back side. I guess there's a little plastic thing that is kind of stuck on there. It doesn't come off. It's supposed to come off, but it doesn't come off easy, so I just leave it on there. Oh, and here's the thing. So I'll make sure I catch this on the cell phone so that it's very clear. These little rubber things, so there's one missing right there, they get lost. These little rubber things get lost. So you take these rubber things out and save those. This is one of the drawbacks to this machine. One of the drawbacks. I mean, it's not a big drawback because I've only lost one in 5 years, but I lost that one pretty much right away. So we take our little rubber pieces out. You know, you drop this on the ground and you never find it again because it just bounces somewhere, you know. All right, so again, this is the muddy one, and it has that plastic nipple. This actually is supposed to be in the tube, I think, but it gets stuck on there and it doesn't come off, and so I just leave it. All right, we're down to the machine and the wheels. We got spacers in between. We've got bolts. Now these are not the original bolts. The bolts that came with it were far too short and made everything very difficult to unbolt and rebolt. But we're unplugged down there. So there's our power cord. And I need to dump that water. And what I like to do is I like to take a sponge and a bucket and wipe all this down. All right, well, I hope it's on the proper recording thing. I just used the top button, which is supposed to go back to whatever was last being recorded, but you never know. At least I never seem to know if it's going to work or not. Could be slow motion. But just wipe it down. And you got to wrestle this thing around, so that's why it's nice for it to be cleaned. Now, I used to try scraping off some of that residue that gets hard on there, but obviously it's stronger than the paint, so I don't worry about scraping it off anymore. I just wipe it off every once in a while. Wipe down your cord. All right. Now, I've misplaced the large tool. Oh, I guess that side's just going to come off. But they give you a large wrench that fits this large aluminum nut or bolt or whatever it is. So this is the polishing pad. And this is some polishing compound, diamond paste. And I just put that on all around and kind of smear it in, and that's what I use for polishing. I mean, there are other ways to polish stuff, but man, diamond paste on this canvas works for a lot of stuff. All right, so we got this this nut that came off of that side, and we're going to take off all of these wheels and the spacers to make it easier to carry. So we can just put that down in there, and let's go ahead and put this in there. This one goes in here. All right, so this is the 3000 grit wheel. Nova wheel. It's a Nova wheel. And this was the bucket that had our wastewater in it. And these all fit real good inside of a square bucket. So here is the little miniature 1-inch PVC spacer that I use between this one and the 3000 grit. And you can see the other spacer is coming off there. And so I like to keep these spacers in order, and I just plop it down inside there and put the next one on top. Same with the spacer. This is the 600 grit wheel. The previous one was the 1200. As you can see, 1200 and 600. And our spacer. And our 280 grit wheel. Alright, so like I said, I've misplaced the large wrench. I don't know what happened to it. I mean, it's got to be around here somewhere, but I can't find it. So, I don't know. Let's see, tighten. Oh, it came off by hand. Alright. I didn't tighten it very tight the last time because I didn't have that wrench. But you just unscrew that. And of course, you know, this has been spaced out and modified. Usually there's only 3 wheels, the same as there's usually only 3 wheels on this side, but I used more wheels than that. Let's put that in there. All right, so this is the new 280 grit wheel. I haven't been using it much. I'm waiting on new wheels over here. I've got 2 new wheels. This will be the 280. I have a 600 and a 1200 coming, but it's been a month and I still don't have them yet, and I'm starting to worry. But I guess that's neither here nor there, other than others of you out there may be experiencing delays receiving your goods. So we got the 280 and the spacer that I used there. Now this is the 220 Kingsley North wheel, which I did a little review on. Find that on my page. This is the 100 grit texture X wheel that I did a review on, and you can find that on my page. Alright, that's about full, but there's like one more room. This is Inland Lapidary, I believe was the manufacturer. 60 grit centered wheel, and it is so much heavier than those other wheels. Seems like it used to have a name on there somewhere, but you can kind of see it. Anyway, centered grit wheel, very heavy compared to all the plated wheels that I have. Alright, let's get rid of some of that dust. Alright, so these shafts are greased, so you don't want to go wiping them with your sponge unless you want to get a grease on your sponge. But now that they're out of the way, I'll usually give things a little wipe down again. Alright, so the next thing I want to do is I want to unloosen these bolts. You can carry this like this. You could carry it even with the wheels, but it's not easy for me. What I have to do is I have to carry this down a ladder to get it into my basement. And when I do that, I only want to be carrying this one heavy part at a time to make it easy, because I have to do all of it myself. So I've got some wrenches up here. We'll find the proper size wrench. Alright, so these screws and bolts are all something that I did. The ones that came with this machine were super short, and it was really difficult to bolt this up by yourself. So I bought bolts, nuts, washers to do it the way I like to do things. And you're going to see it here shortly. So obviously I have bolts, nuts, and washers, some lock washers, some flat washers, holding that down. Alright, so we can lift that right off now. Alright. It's kind of heavy. It's like, I don't know, 50 or 60 pounds or something. Alright, so underneath here, there's a rubber vibration mat and water. You know, it raises that metal thing up off water, because this gets water on it, and that'll help keep it from rusting away, I guess. And what I've done here, let me get rid of these. I'll go in there. We'll just take that wrench with us. What I've done is I've added nuts and washers down below the unit to keep these bolts tight. Okay, so what they come with is just one set of bolt and one set of washer and one set of nut, and you push them through, and then you lean this down, and they fall down because there's this rubber spacer right? And that's 1/2 an inch, 5/8 of an inch or something. But they fall down, the original bolts fall down, and then you put that thing on top, the motor on top, and then there's no room to get a nut and a washer on there. You know what I mean? There's just not enough threads, and then you got to lift it up and push that bolt, and then you can get threads on it. But it's a joke because that thing's heavy, and so I used to put like a piece of tape to hold it up just a little bit, but then the tape fails, and then you're, you know, fumbling around. So anyway, I bought extra nuts, extra long bolts. This doesn't fall down, and I just put it on and off. It's easy. You know, you can take those off, and I often do when I go packing this away in the trailer, and I need it to pack down as tiny as possible, but we're just going downstairs, so I don't need to take that apart. But there you go, that's the base. And you know, we've basically taken it apart. This is the flat lap that goes on this side, and it comes with I think it's a 360 grit, but never really had much luck using it for the backs of cabochons, but that's part of it. We might as well bring down, so I have a series of these flat laps, and they're different. They actually can screw into the polishing side, and I've actually done a lot better with these because it's just easy to screw them on and screw them off. But I've got several. I think this is a 180 grit or something. It's the roughest one I have. And we'll take down these wheels. Some wheels that are just sitting up here. And so this is the pump system. Let's see if I can get this. This is the Cabking pump system that it came with. I don't use the pump out here. So this is the floor switch. It's like an extension cord floor switch, and it stopped working, and I should probably take it apart and see if I can fix it, because it was actually kind of useful when it did work, if you want to use the pump. But like I said, it stopped working, and I just keep it around. But I should probably take this stuff downstairs too, even though I may not even be using it. I'm hoping to find that wrench, and I don't see it there. This is the water system that I removed from the Cabking. You know, it's kind of cool. It works really good when it's brand new, but after a while you get little stuff that gets in these, and then they get clogged up in here, and you end up taking them apart and putting them back together, and taking them apart and putting them back together, and you end up fighting it, and after a while you get tired of it. At least that's what happened to me. And so, you know, I like to just keep it simple. I drilled holes in the tops of my units, and you know, I just put the pipe right in the hole. It's quick and easy. It never gets plugged up. So, you know, these are cool and all that, but if you charged me $50 less to not have it, that's the way I'd like it. $50 less to not have it. So here is the muddy side. And I just like to scrape this right into the trash can. So this is a few months of buildup. I think I moved the machine last in May. So 4 or 5 months. I've seen people say, oh, I clean my machine every time I use it. And I just think to myself, okay, well, you're spending a lot of time cleaning the machine. I only clean it pretty much when I need to move it. You know, basically 2 or 3 times a year. This base is made out of a fairly durable plastic. Don't ask me what kind of plastic it is, but it seems pretty durable. It's fairly heavy for plastic. Now I turned on the hose because after I scrape them out, I just hose them out. This is the muddy one. Now the muddy one is always heavier than the other one, and there's a fair amount of buildup, especially where the rough wheels are. Sorry about that. Fair amount of buildup there. So I just scrape it off. And so this has plastic sides on a metal hood. Spray that off. And there you go. There's your plastic knobs. That's clean enough. I like to run water through these tubes, especially the muddy one gets plugged up. Just wiggle them around. Get the stuff off the side. All right, clean enough. So here we are down in the Lapidary Dungeon, and that's the bench where I've been resting my machine, my grinder machine. And I did adjust this shelf on this other side. Previously, this 2x4 had been in the way of the exhaust water of the trays and the the hose had to come all the way. This tray was below here, or the shelf was below, and so the hose had to come out and then turn and go down, and it just didn't work that great. And so I repositioned this 2x4, repositioned the shelf, repositioned the support, and so that's going to make that a little bit better. I usually put my waste bucket right there. First thing we do is put down our base plate. I don't know what they call it, but it's the board that it comes with. You know, I originally thought that it would fall apart. I thought, this is a piece of crap board, and I'll be replacing it. But you know what? I mean, it's got some issues, but I haven't had to replace it. So much easier to do that when these bolts aren't trying to get away. So definitely worth a couple bucks to buy longer bolts and the necessary nuts and washers to hold them in place. Whoops. Forgot the little rubbers on the bottom. The easily lost little rubbers. If you wanted to put on the flat lap, it goes on real easy. I'm going to be putting new diamond paste on that. So leave that out for a little bit. Let's see, so this one goes on this side, which we won't be using. Set this side. We can put this side on. If you're using the flat lap, I usually just leave it off. And here's the inside for the crusty side. And it can, so this is all pushed up against this back wall. And so in order to get this on, what you have to do is you have to pull the base out just a little bit. Right? And then a little bit more. And then that will rotate. So you do need to have a little bit of space before a wall. Not much, but a little bit. Alright. Once you have those on, you can go ahead and push the assembly back as far as you want it to be. Guess I didn't really clean this parts. Oh well. So I don't know if I've mentioned this diamond paste before, but a friend of mine gave me this tube, and I've used up more than half of it. But I think it's about 14,000 grit. And there you go. Just smear that in a little bit. And I do this, I don't know, every 2 months, something like that. Doesn't take much. Some people would probably use more. But I've been using this tube for at least 4 years. I'm going to be mounting the light like up here. I've discovered that I like it better mounted up high and into the wall behind it. I can move that thing. This is another drawback that I've found with this machine. This flange that they use at the base of their light takes 3 screws, and they're right up next to this, collar or whatever it's called, and it's really hard to put the screws in there. If they'd maybe used a T-bar or something that could get a screw out here and a screw out there, that would have been a lot easier for people to mount the screws. It's not impossible, but it could be easier. Good enough. All right, for my water, I just got a nail up there. I'll just hang that from the nail. Not very much height. But I guess, so like that. I don't know. Might work. Yeah, it starts coming. So it's fine. Doesn't have to be too tall. But so I can take this down real easy, fill it up with the nice hot water from upstairs. I don't have a hot water spigot down here. That's too nice for the Lapidary Dungeon. We're not allowed nice things. Here is the back side and our drain tubes, and they simply go on just like that. And I've never really had any issue with them falling off. Oh, that's the wrong end. Just kind of snug them on there into the drain bucket. Yeah, this area is much cleaner than it used to be as far as the tubes coming out. I really need to clean up this shelf, organize all those slabs and little chunks of rock someday. All right, there's our polishing end, polishing wheels, the 3/4 horsepower Cabking motor, more of the grinding section, flat lap on that side if you're into that sort of thing. All right, well, the machine is moved. Tomorrow I'll be making cabs. Not much else to do but plug it in. So the machine's all moved, and you know, tomorrow I'll be down here making cabs, and winter is here. Kind of sucks, but it's just the way it is. Thanks for watching. I'm Mark. This is the Lapidary Dungeon. Like, subscribe, please. Talk to you later.